I'm Safe and I run an email marketing agency called Monetize Mail. We've scaled over 50 plus e-commerce brands. And here's one thing I've learned. It's not luck. Anyone can use emails to scale to crazy numbers, whether that's 6 figures all the way up to 9 figures, depending on where your brand is at. I'm going to be sharing 4 different case studies from 4 different brands, going over exactly what we did to scale each of them, how we fixed their emails and generated them an extra 30 to 40% in revenue. I'm talking about results like the ones you're going to see on your screen right now. So without further ado, let's dig right into them. So the first case study I'm going to be going over is a brand called Labadi Hair, a premium hair care brand. They had 0 email marketing. They were great at Facebook ads, they were great at acquisition, but they had no retention systems built up whatsoever. So they were missing out on a bunch of lost revenue from returning customers because they weren't pushing any messaging to them. There was no way to drive more sales or customer loyalty. They were completely depending on people remembering to buy. So here's what we did at Monetize Mail. We got them up and running on Klaviyo within just 2 weeks, and that includes all the core flows built completely from scratch, custom to their brand. No plug and play templates, everything was built custom and bespoke for their brand. Then we created a bunch of different segments using the profiles they already had on Klaviyo, using the profiles that they already accumulated. We looked at purchase history, we looked at whether people were browsing and not buying. We looked at what type of products people were looking at. Like I said, all the flows were completely set up. From the welcome flow to cart recovery to browse abandonment to even post-purchase flows, we had everything built out. Then we designed targeted campaigns pushing new products and offers with professional, clean visuals. Once we had all that up and running, we ran various A/B tests to see what works for their brand. So we A/B tested a bunch of different things, for example, subject lines, send times, plain text versus graphic design emails. And after a couple months, we had a perfect system with completely optimized open and click rates, a very healthy balance of flow and campaign revenue. And in just a couple of months, we generated them 6 figures just from email. Bearing in mind, this brand had only launched for 3 months before they came to us. So one of the biggest lessons I learned from working with this brand is that when you initially launch a brand and you're getting traction, that is the time to start focusing on building out your email flows. Let's jump into case study 2. This is a brand called Ann Beauty, one of my first clients that we worked with actually. And it's a case study I always like to reference just because of how much of a great job we did. They were doing their emails in-house. It was completely cluttered. The emails did not look professional at all. They were doing copy by themselves as well. Often had spelling errors, often had grammatical errors, didn't look clean, lacked visual hierarchy, and ultimately just had no optimizations. And they didn't even have any flows live. They were only running campaigns. So again, we took over the whole thing. They were actually using Shopify email. We took them over onto Klaviyo. On Klaviyo, we built out all the flows that they didn't have. They saw a 25% uplift just from that. On top of that, when they were sending campaigns, they were sending it to the full list. There was 0 segmentation going on, so their deliverability was an absolute nightmare to fix. But nevertheless, we did it. We built out tailored segments to make sure that we're increasing open rates and click rates, ultimately increasing sender reputation. We fully optimized it for how a beauty brand should be ran. Beauty brands need clean aesthetics. It's very important how the emails look for beauty brands, more so than other brands. So we made sure to hit the nail on the head when it came to the designs. They also had a bunch of customers who had placed one order and never again. And they weren't targeting those people separately. They were just targeting everybody as one big batch. Like I said earlier, there was 0 segmentation going on. And we learned that their biggest customer segment was people who bought once and never again. So we placed a big focus on warming these customers back up, understanding why they didn't repurchase by surveying them, learnings from that to put that into the email campaigns that we ran, which allowed us to see massive results in getting more people across the line. Within just 2 months, over 50% of their revenue started coming from email alone. After 6 months of working together, they actually successfully exited the brand. This is a case study that I love talking about just because it's one of the first clients we brought on and we helped them build out a retention system that allowed them to actually get more money when they exited. One of the biggest mistakes that this brand made in the beginning before working with us, and it was a big lesson learned for myself as well, since it was one of my first clients, is that do not make the mistake of just using Shopify campaigns only. You need a sophisticated platform. I'm not saying always use Klaviyo. It is the best, to be totally honest, but you could be using anything. It could be ActiveCampaign, it could be SendLane. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're able to build out the flows and campaigns and have something basic set up, that's what you need to begin with. You can start getting more granular as things go on. The other thing is, focus on segmentation. Do not send emails to every single person on your list. Do not do that. Let's move on to case study number 3. This is a brand that I love. We still work with them up until this day. It's a husband and wife brand called the Loomia. They have great aesthetics. The emails, of course, have to reflect that. But before they were working with us, they were actually working with a huge agency who didn't really understand how to make the most out of their Klaviyo. What I mean by that is that they were targeting really small hyper-engaged segments on the list, which you should only really be doing if you have a deliverability issue. But they were targeting that list all the time, which led to vanity metrics like a very high open rate and a very high click rate look good. But at the end of the day, if your revenue isn't measuring up and if you're not making full use of your email list, you're leaving money on the table, and you should not be doing that. You should be trying to expand your list as much as you can without wrecking deliverability, of course. Because of these mistakes that the big agency was making, they were stuck at 20% Klaviyo attribution. So what we did is we built out a bunch of segments and expanded the people that they were targeting. That allowed us to increase sales pretty dramatically. And our first month with them was one of their record-breaking months. Again, we made sure to have very clean aesthetics within the email that matched the look and feel of the website. That was something that their previous agency just wasn't doing. The flows looked very cookie cutter, they looked very plain, very boring, and they weren't really performing. We got email attribution on Klaviyo to over 30% very quickly as a result of the changes we were able to make. One of the biggest lessons I learned from this brand is that looking at open rates and click rates can sometimes be deceiving because you're targeting a very small hyper-engaged segment, which is great, but at the end of the day, revenue is the most important thing. And like I said, this is a brand that still works with us up until today and have been with us for quite some time now. We love working with them, and I'm gonna share just, a quick snippet of, what they had to say about working with us on the screen for you.
This is Nilay.
And this is Fari. We are the founders of the Loomia.
We are working with Saif for 3 months, and he made a big difference.
Yes, we were working with a big agency before Saif, and when we started to work with him, not just our revenues, all technical and all other KPIs has increased in a very, very good way. Like instantly, like he has a magical touch or something like that.
He's so responsive for sure, and right, Fari?
Yeah, he's there all the time. Even there's big time difference between us and his place. He's always responding very fast, and he doesn't know the word no.
Yeah, he's so sweet and easy to work.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, Saif.
We definitely recommend Saif and Vogue Digital to everybody.
Let's move on to case study 4, a brand called Katoura, a feminine care brand who went viral on social media but had zero email marketing when they came to us. And this was a big problem because they were doing product launches at the stage when they first came to us. They would drop a launch, they would sell out, and then relaunch whenever they had new product coming in. Because there was so much demand, they were selling out very quickly. You would think that when you run a business in that way, you would have some sort of email system set up, but they did not at all. So without email, they were missing out on a core revenue stream. Again, we had to build out all the core flows that they did not have, from the welcome flow to the browser abandonment, to site abandonment, all the way to all the added to carts, all the way to the post-purchase flows, replenishment. They had nothing, so we set it all up within just 2 weeks. One of the biggest issues here was they had never sent an email before, so we had to really figure out which emails were good on the list that they had versus which ones were bad. And when I say good, I mean which ones will engage, and when I say bad, I just mean the ones that are false, are fake emails, or they'll bounce, or they just will never open them. If you take a look at this brand's website, you'll notice that their products are very erotic, and we kind of had to keep that theme within the email, which I think we nailed. We were able to generate them 6-figure months exclusively from email. And here's also what the founder of the brand had to say about working with us. I'm gonna put it on the screen right now.
Hey guys, how you guys doing? So yeah, when I started with Vogue, Saif and his team, I was very skeptical, or I didn't even use email because I thought it wouldn't work. I just use like numbers to send all my notifications and all my restock updates to my customers. I didn't want to use emails because I thought emails, open rates were all like low and stuff like that. So I didn't even want to have anything to do with using email for my business. But I got in touch with Safe. I got referred to him and his team at Vogue Digital, and those guys just absolutely changed my whole set, like the way I think about email. It's just crazy. I mean, they were bringing us like 100K months, sorry, just from email alone, which is crazy because I didn't think emails can ever do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, we've worked with them for like maybe 8 months now, for even 9 months going into a year, and yeah, but we're gonna be working with them for a long time because the results are just there. The graphics, the branding, the email sequences, the way they know how, you know, our brand sounds like to the customers, like Vogue Digital, Safe and his team. Those guys are killer, you know what I mean? If you guys want any good email marketers for your business, I recommend these guys, for real. Have a good one.
So we're super proud to still be working with this brand. We've crushed it for them. We were able to generate 6-figure months for them just by email. And currently today, they're seeing 30% of their revenue come from emails. But back to my original point, one of the biggest lessons I learned from working with this brand is that if you're using the product drop method, and similar to the first brand that we spoke about, if you're seeing initial traction on your brand grow very strongly, you need to start focusing on your emails ASAP. Luckily, they came to us within the first few months, so we were able to set everything up for them. But without that, they were leaving a bunch of revenue on the table. 4 brands, millions in revenue, all from systems that we built at Monetize Mail. Segmentation, automation, testing, there's no luck involved here. If you're an e-com brand and you're looking to make email one of your most predictable channels of revenue, we've got the playbook. Book a call with us, there's a link in the description below, and we'll talk soon.